Hey, everybody. Welcome. Hi, I'm Stacy Rossetti, and I am going to take the next half an hour to go over another one of my facilities. How did I find it? How did I fund it? How am I running it? Okay, so this is going to be a really good I'm doing these like a couple a week until I go through all the properties that I own. I own 15 storage facilities. So make sure that you like and subscribe so you can get notifications on when I do these lives. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go over my Fairburn location, and I'm going to show you how I found it, kind of like, how I ran do analysis, how I, managed to get it, I got it funded, and then also, how am I managing it? Okay, so just so everybody knows, I own Storage Nerds. Storage Nerds is it's an online education platform if you want to learn how to get started in self-storage investing. And then on top of that, I work with Bree Hartman. She owns the Self Storage School, and we started what's called Storage Deal Room. So if you want to partner with us and you want us to find a facility for you, then you can check out the storage deal room as well. And then what I'm doing is I'm going over the facilities that I am selling. So I'm in the process of trying to sell my storage facilities right now in order to be able to either buy bigger ones or partner with my students or, something like this. So I'm going through these facilities that I own. I'm going to show you how I found it, funded it, and running it. And also, I have a book out, just so you know. If you're interested in buying the book, it's called Find Them, Fund Them, Run Them. And it is in Amazon. It's not on Amazon. It's wherever you want to buy books. It's kind of out there. So if you're like a book reader and you want to learn how to invest in self-storage, it's basically taking you through step by step how to get started in self-storage investing. Okay. All right. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, real fast. The Fairburn, Georgia facility that I'm about to go over. I bought this facility at least 5 years ago, if not longer. I can't remember how long I bought this. But this facility was found driving for storage. I teach how to drive for storage, so virtually drive for storage, and then I'm going to pull it up as well too, so we can do that. So Miss Lillian's is the name of my facility. Let's pull these up here so you can take a look at it. Okay. So my storage facility, the brand is Miss Lillian Self Storage. Lillian is my daughter. Right, so we named our storage facilities after her, and you can see here Miss Lillian Self Storage, Georgia, and Florida. This is us, okay? So if you're interested in finding out about us, or even looking at our website and kind of getting an idea of how we manage our facilities, you can kind of see what it is. And honestly, when you're getting into self storage, your job is to understand what your competition is doing. And the rule right now in the storage industry is may the best competitor win, right? May the best marketer win. So so you always want to be aware of how other storage facilities are marketing, because we all know that if you want to get storage, then you just basically are doing storage near me, right? Is what you're looking up on Google Maps or whatever, you're just looking around and you're kind of seeing what it looks like. Okay. So I want to make sure that you understand the marketing side of it. And then you can also come to misslillians.com and you can kind of check us out, check out our website and see kind of how we run everything. We built this website on our own. Like, we got this built, our team built this. So it doesn't look like every other storage facility site. Once you start really looking at facilities, you'll kind of get an idea of, how they market. And we wanted to be really better than the rest. So we created our own website. Because what happens on Google, we all know this, is that, if your website looks exactly the same like everybody else's, then ultimately your SEO doesn't work. Okay. And so in order to understand your competition, you need to understand how to do competitive analysis. And when you do competitive analysis, you need to understand how your competition is marketing. And ultimately, to get tenants, you need to have a really good website, a very good property management platform, and you need to be like on Google Maps. I'll show you how we do that here in just a second. And really, really understand online marketing is what it is. Okay. So this facility here is, if you go to Georgia, if you go to Fairburn, this is the facility that we're going to be talking about today. Okay. So, if you want to come now, look, if you look at my website, so this, like, we always have a promotion, right? We always have a promotion. And so you can see 95% off is what we kind of do now. We tried a lot of different promotions. We did your first month off, the first 2 months off, 50% off, the second month. I mean, we've done like dollar months, we've done price matching, we've done we've tried everything over the last like 10 years. And 95% off just seems to work for us. And the reason why, because like the people that answer our phones, let me tell you, the people that answer our phones are amazing. I have like my own in-house like people that answer the phones, but I've really worked with them over the past couple of years to just be really good on the phone. And whoever answers your phone makes or breaks whether or not you are going to be successful. So either you're answering your phone, or you have like, a company answering your phone, or maybe you have somebody in-house answering your phone. But ultimately, whoever answers your phone is going to be the person that, converts. And as I talked about, right, your website, answering your phones, your online marketing, your Google presence is all really about just getting leads and then converting those leads. And that's really how storage works now. Okay. I wish it was like when I first started. I started in 2015. And it was like you could just put a sign up in the front. And like from like 2015 to 2020, you literally could just have a sign up and people would call and you would just get move-ins, But like from 2020 on, it started to become very competitive because a lot of people got into storage. From 2015 to 2020, like, nobody even really cared about storage. That was the good old days, right? Now there's just a lot of competition. And so you have to be on top of your marketing. Okay. So when somebody calls into Fairburn or somebody calls into one of our storage facilities, then you can, what we do is we offer this 95% off. So what happens is we'll talk to the people on the phone. And the reason I know this because I listen to our phone, do listen to a lot of the phone calls that my team does. But essentially, like if they're asking the questions and stuff, what we do first is we make sure that they can afford $29.95, right? Because that's like the key right now. Is a lot of people can't even really afford, X amount of dollars per month, right? So we make sure like, hey, would you be able to afford for this 10 by 10? Would you be able to afford $59.99 a month? That's kind of what the price is going to be, after our promotion. Your first month, we can give that unit to you for $3. But ultimately, you need to be able to charge, you need to be able to afford $60 a month. Is that okay with you? And so we kind of present it that way. It's really how you present, the price in order to be able to convert them, right? Because then what happens is if you go through and you're talking on the phone, and these conversions, like calls, to convert a call takes on average around 20 minutes, but it can go upwards to 30 or 40 minutes just to get somebody to be completely moved in on the phone. And, I'm just saying this because this is something that we've just learned over time. And when you're thinking about buying a storage facility, you are not thinking about this, okay? You are not thinking about how much money I'm going to have to spend in order to get a tenant to move in, and how long is it going to take me to convert, and how much money is that going to cost me, right? It's just, you don't think about stuff like that, So like, I'm just bringing it up. That's why it's really good to look at websites. When you look at a website and you do this kind of internal competitive analysis on the storage facilities that you're interested in, you need to be looking at what are they doing in order to get people into the door. And, bigger players like REITs right now, they are charging very low rates, right? Because it's, there's a lot of storage and a lot of places were overbuilt. And so you have this kind of competition, and so you want to be able to understand what the competition is doing in order to get people to move into your facility. Okay. This is not about how do I find it and how do I fund it, which is like, I would say most of the time what people are thinking about. Ultimately, the rule is that you're buying a storage facility and you want to be able to run that business, not only as the most lean business you can, but also on top of that, every penny that you spend on marketing, every penny that you spend on managing this facility eats into what the value of your property is. So, and understanding competitive marketing, understanding what your competition is doing is key now to the success of your facility. Okay, so that's why I'm bringing this up. I would personally say to me that, like, if you ended up buying any one of my facilities, you would get a turnkey property that's completely stabilized, that there's like maybe some upside in like filling it up or raising the rents. But ultimately, if you kind of just matched and did exactly what we were doing, you would be, in the long run, you would be buying a facility that is definitely going to make income, no matter what. And you want to make sure that when you're looking at properties, this is what you're thinking about. I just see owners nowadays just not really understanding this concept. And it really just kind of breaks my heart, because we talk to owners every single day through the storage deal room, and they do not understand what I'm talking about right now. They have never done anything like this. They don't know how to do online marketing. They've never done a competitive, analysis. They don't really know how to convert tenants and how important it is as a storage facility owner to understand and to be able to do this. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. So on the run side, so I'm doing find them, fund them, run them. On the run side, getting Fairburn filled up was, part of us buying this facility. Now, when we bought this facility, let me show you guys some pictures. And you can look at my websites, and look at our Google listing, so you can kind of get an idea of how it's supposed to be done, right, properly. Okay, so this is the facility itself. Now, when we bought the facility, see if we can get some better pictures. The picture was kind of big. Here it is. Okay, so when we bought this facility, it was like this ugly kind of like tan color. Right. And so then we came in and we painted it, and it kind of looks like this on the inside. So, I mean, it's a small, older property, so it's not like the most beautiful property, but like we came in, we painted it, and we, fixed all the doors that were broken. We fixed all the latches and stuff. The owner. So what happened is, like, I was driving for storage, and which is kind of what I did in the very beginning. And I found this facility, and the board was right here. It's called Rainbow Storage is what it was. And the phone number, it looked almost exactly like this, and the phone number was there. So I just called the owner, right? And let's see if I can stop sharing. So what I did is I called the owner, and I was right in front of the property. This is just me driving around, because I used to live right there, kind of in that area. I lived in Peachtree City, and Fairburn's right next to Peachtree City. So I would call around, and I would drive and talk to, try to talk to the owners of the, of the storage facilities. And so this guy here, I called him, and I called him up, and he answered the phone, and he didn't even say Rainbow Storage. He said, hello. And I said, I'm calling about your storage facility. He said, oh, you got to do one a unit? And I was like, no, I want to buy your facility. And then there was like this kind of brief moment where it was like quiet. And, I said, would you be, I said, would you be interested in meeting me and talking to me about buying your facility? I own like some facilities in the Peachtree City area. I'm looking to spread out and buy some more in this area. And he's like, where are you? And I said, I'm in front of your facility, like right now. I was just driving around, driving by it. He's like, let me come on over there. So he literally, like at that moment, got into his truck, and he drove over, and he met me. And he was an older man, and he was kind of older. He was he was in his 80s. He was like almost 90 years old. Okay. And he had I met him, a really nice guy, and he showed me his book. He had like this ledger, and that's how he kept track of all his like units and stuff. Like he didn't use any software or anything. This was in like, I don't know, anywhere from 2015 to 2020. So I can't remember what year it was. And so, and then, and he had owned Rainbow car washes. He owned car washes and store, and this was the only storage facility that he had. And he had been selling off all his car washes, because he wanted to like, give, make sure he was, had all his funds done before he died, because he was like 88 years old. And his name was Mr. Jernigan, was his name. And so we talked for a while, and I was like, I'd be interested in buying your facility. And I said, what price would you be interested in? He told me $225,000 is what he told me. And I was like, $225,000? I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, I think I can do that. I'd be interested in doing that. And I didn't even send any the numbers or anything. I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. That's how I always am. I was just like, yeah, I'm interested, to get the conversation going. And I said, well, let me go back and talk to my lenders and stuff. Let me just see. Oh, he's like, oh, no. He's like, I'm your lender. I'll be your lender. And I was like, really? I was like, oh, okay. Because I hadn't even offered like seller financing or anything. He said, if you can give me $25,000, I will finance the rest of it. And I was like, really? Yes. I was like, for sure. Let's do this, So we worked so after that, we kind of worked through putting the contract together, and I was like trying to figure out how much it's worth and stuff like this. But that's all I had to do. That's literally all I had to do was drive, call the number on the sign, and then meet the owner. And he came over and he met me face to face, which is something that I teach inside Storage Nerds, is that the more meetings face to face with owners that you can get, the better you're going to be able to get a chance to even find a facility to buy, and then also even get like a creative deal structure. So ultimately I paid $25,000. This is the only facility that I ever paid money for. And I own a lot of facilities, just so you'll know. And so I gave him $25,000, and then we seller financed it. And it was, I think I pay $1,500 a month, somewhere around $1,500 a month for 12 years is what it was. So he sold it for $225,000, and he's gonna make $75,000 in that time. I kind of calculated it up. So really he makes like $300,000 on this property. And and so then we bought the property, and then when we were at the closing table, I was like, can you, I was really interested. I was like, hey, Mr. Jernigan, I was like, can you please tell me, like, why did you sell or finance this property? Because you're 88 years old. I mean, you're going to like die soon, like, why would you finance your property? And he told me, he said, he's like, Stacy, he's like, I did not finance this property for me. He's like, I financed this property for my wife. My wife is going to get $1,500 a month, and for the next 12 years and she was younger. She's kind of like not younger, but she's like in her 70s. And he was just like, I financed this property for my wife. I want to make sure that she gets $1,500 a month for the next 12 years. He's like, I may die in the next couple of years, but at least I know she's getting money in, right? And I was just honestly so like touched by that. I was so touched by that, and I just said, like, I was like, Mr. Jernigan, I was like, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. Like, you are my goal. And because he had the car washes and he had this storage facility, and he told me he financed everything that he owned. He seller financed everything because he wanted to make sure that his wife would have money coming in after he passed away. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like amazing, right? So the power of meeting somebody face to face and just kind of getting to know their story is going to help you to get a creative deal structure, get a really good deal on your property. And then really kind of just, I learned from this guy. I was like, okay, I need to be doing stuff like that, right? And so so this property here, this Fairburn property, we fixed it up. My husband painted it, right? I talked about this last time in the case study. In my other case study, my husband paints all of our properties because we are cheap. right? That's why, so it took him about 2 days to paint this property. And it cost about maybe $1,000, something like this. It didn't cost a lot. So he bought the paint. That's what the money went to, is $1,000 for the paint. And it's the gray paint. I'll show you the pictures. The gray paint and then the black paint. Okay. And then he kind of has this like system with his doors and with everything. Now he's got it down because he's painted like 10 facilities for us. He's painted a lot of facilities. Now, if it gets to be like a super big facility or whatever, like he'll find some help or whatever to help him. And we've had like our boots on the ground people come over and help. Like we painted one of our facilities that was like almost 30,000 square foot. And so he had like our boots on the ground person come over and help and stuff too. But because we got quotes to paint this facility, it was like $10,000. Okay, so it was like super expensive. So I was just like, I was like, we'll just not paint it. He was like, no, I'll just paint it, So anyway, so that is that. So let me just go and show you some pictures. So I first wanted to show you that. Let me get over here. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so now you can see that this is what it looks like. This is the facility. So it looks really good. Now, this property has also, it's not shown in this picture, so I wanted to get in here. Let me see if I can find some pictures in here. Okay, also, I went over this last time in my case study, but ultimately this folder right here, if you want access to this folder, all you have to do is just go to this website right here. It's americanssmgt.com. And it's actually /for sale. Okay, so I made this website, and if you want to get access to all the properties that we're selling right now, because we're trying to sell like 10 of our facilities or 10 or 12 of our facilities, and try to move on to some bigger ones and stuff, or partner with students. I really want to partner with my students as well. So if you want access, just go to right here. You go to americanssmgt.com/for sale. Okay, and then you can get access to this, and then you can scroll down to Fairburn. Let me see here where we are. Here's Fairburn. Okay. And so here's the picture, and then you can just ask for more info here, and this will give you access to the Google Drive folder. So you can take a look at it if you want to put an offer in or whatever. So this is the price. Around this price, I have already sent over my tax returns and P&Ls to the lender, one of the lenders that we use, and it's an SBA loan, 10% down, and it's been pre-approved for this much money. Okay, from my tax returns and stuff. So there's no question about and SBA, just so you know, SBA, an SBA loan is like one of the ones where you have to have the most amount of spread, right? Because in an SBA loan, you're putting 10% down. Or 15, depending on like your experience and stuff in the deal or whatever, but like essentially $10,000 to $15,000 you're putting down, and then you're going to get an interest rate of prime plus 1. Typically, it's about prime plus 1, so it's about 7%. I have a couple of people going through this lender right now on a couple of other deals, and they're literally getting like prime plus 1. It's coming out to about 7%. When you run the numbers, if you run the numbers at this price with 10% down and 7%. This is how you get the approval rating, right? And they just look and they just make sure that my income and stuff will cover that. And if you're only putting 10% down on a deal, then you just know that you're going to have a higher interest rate, right? So the less money that you put down, the higher the interest rate. The more money that you put down, the lower the interest rate. Okay, and so that's kind of how it works. But I just want to say you can go on to this americanssmgt.com/for sale. You can look at the facilities that we are trying to sell, okay? You can ask for more info. That's going to give you access to this folder right here, okay? And then in this folder, I'll find some pictures of the facility, but you have the camera, like we have the map of the cameras. I think this facility has like 4 cameras. And then we have, let's see what else, P&Ls. All the P&Ls are in there from 2023 to 2025. The general ledgers are in there. This is all what I've pulled from StorageNerds. So we use StorageNerds to manage our facilities. Okay, so you can get the general ledger, you can get the occupancy reports, the rent roll, the management summaries. facility features. So anything that you need is in here, executive summary and stuff like this is all in here. Now, photos are here too. So if you want to get access to this, let's look at these and see what they look like. Yeah, so this is it. So you have pictures of the cameras, and then you have pictures of the facility you can see here. And then the one thing I wanted to point out about this facility, it doesn't have pictures here. I need to put pictures in, but it has a mechanic shop. It has a mechanic shop. So there's a storage facility, and there's also a mechanic shop that's going to be painted and fixed up as well too. And that guy, he pays $1,000 a month for his mechanic shop. It's like a little small one. It's like 3 bays, and he's been there for like 15 years. This guy, and he pays $1,000 a month. And his name is Jimmy, and he kind of like keeps an eye on the place. Is what he does. He doesn't do any of the work or anything, but ultimately he keeps an eye on it. He just makes sure everything's all safe and stuff too. So that is also included. So you get $1,000 a month from Jimmy, and then you also get storage income. Okay. And I just want to make sure that you guys knew that. And like the management summaries are really good summaries for you to look at, because it kind of trains your brain on like how to look at a storage facility. Okay, so you can see this is just 2026. This is January's monthly management summary. So we actually did way better. Okay, so we made $73,000 last year on this property, and we made $6,300 last month. And you can see we're 85%, or we're 92% full, 85% econ. Okay, right? So like we're full. And remember, when I bought this facility, this owner, Mr. Jernigan, he was charging like $30 a month. In fact, what was interesting about this property is that there was a woman that called up, and she had been paying $25 a month for 15 years at this property. And she was an older woman, and she lived in a nursing. And so we inherited her as a tenant. And she called in, and she was like, hey, she's like, I'm just wondering about my unit. Like, I haven't been there in like 10 years. She's like, can you guys do me a favor and please open it up and like just tell me what's in it, because I don't remember, And so Pete's like, yeah, I'll open it up. So he opened it up, and it was like the most disgusting like unit, and it was like everything's all moldy, nasty. And so we called her back up, and we said, look, I think she said most of the stuff is like pretty bad. He's like, what do you want in there? And I'll get it out for you, and you can just stop paying us, and then we'll save whatever you want. And she's like, the only thing that I can remember that's in this unit that I want is my husband's ashes. And so my husband, so Pete, he opened it, he got in, and he looked for that, and he found the husband's ashes. And he also found like this big box full of old pictures and stuff, like photo albums and everything else like really bad and gross and disgusting. So he went through, he's like such a nice guy. He went through everything. And then he took the pictures of the photos, the pictures and her ashes. He took it to her at the nursing home, and he gave everything to her. And she was like so happy. She was just like, thank you so much, right? And then we cleaned everything else out. We trashed it, and then we rented the unit for like $100. Okay. But that's like typical, that's a lot of typical storage for storage units, right? And then if you treat people right like that, the word gets around. So ultimately, like we had stuff like that going on at this unit. And, we went up from like $25, $30 a month to like $100 plus a month, right? Because this is Fairburn. This is right in the Atlanta area. I mean, people must be paying more money for this stuff, right? And also our competition at this facility is like bigger players. I mean, there's like a CubeSmart and like a Public Storage maybe, around. And then there's like our little like tiny rinky-dink facility, right? And so like, you don't want to be as expensive as these like bigger players. You don't want to be like that. We cater to like a lot of kind of like small businesses and things like this. And you just have to kind of know your like the people that rent from you. And then it took us a little while to get it all cleaned up and rented out, painted and stuff. But now we're like, we're at like 90% full, running great. So it's a really stabilized property. And then Jimmy is there to help us keep an eye on the place, and he'll be there forever. So it's like a mechanic shop and like a tow place, but he keeps like super clean. And, he just like tows cars, then he like fixes them, and then he like gives them back is what he does. Okay. So that's kind of how that works. So that's that. And then let me share my screen again real fast. And so I wanted to just show you that. So inside this folder, if you want access to it, you can ask for access on the page, and then you can start looking at all of the different documents in here, so you can kind of get an idea of like how to look at a storage facility, because you've got to be able to run deal analysis. When you're running deal analysis means understanding the general ledger, the rent roll, the occupancy reports, and being able to run commercial deal analysis. Okay, so that is the folder. That's the folder, and I just wanted to make sure. So I talked about finding this facility, okay, which was me driving for storage, right? Just driving around talking to owners. I talked about funding it, and he seller financed it to me, right? And then running it, I talked about the marketing, and I talked about the listings and things like that. So I think I kind of went over everything, but what we're going to do is we'll put this video, up. And then if you have any questions about this video or anything, you put it in the comments. I turned the chat off in here because I was getting annoyed by all these like weird chats and stuff. So, but like ultimately you can always comment below, and then we will answer any questions that you have. And then if you want access to all the facilities that I have for sale, it's americanssmgt.com/for sale. Florida and Georgia, we're selling our properties. Some of our properties. And then StorageNerds.com is where I coach. Okay. And Academy is around $100 a month. Okay. So if you want to get into the Academy and come to the live group coaching sessions and start learning about this, just go to StorageNerds.com and click on Academy and you can join. And then we also have Storage Deal Room. And Storage Deal Room is where me and Bree partnered to find you deals. Like we will do the work for you, and then you can just look at the deals and you can meet the owners is what you can do, right? Because we know that like, doing all the work and stuff, doing all the analysis and all that folder that you saw, we will do all that for you. My team will do it all for you. So if you want to partner, then that is available to you as well. To just go to StorageNerds.com and click on acquisitions. Okay. Anyways, we are here for you. I'm here, and I look forward to working with you. And then I'll be around tomorrow for another case study as well. Okay. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.